of this course, and we will focus on the writing discourse. As we've discussed in our previous lectures, we said that we're gonna engage into different kinds of texts and try to understand on how these different types of texts communicate meaning, and we as a student on how we can be able to identify different types of texts, but also be able to distinguish the different features of various types of texts, but also on we should be able to identify the cohesive ties used in authentic text materials. And finally, at the end of the course of this lecture, we should be able to apply appropriate steps in writing process. Now, the question that we might be asking ourselves is, what is discourse? It's a very new term to many of you students. A few of you might have encountered it, but what is discourse in communication skills? And this term discourse, for those who will pursue linguistic studies, they will encounter this terminology, and they will be able to go into details into discourse analysis. Discourse means text. That is in simple terms. It's just a text, and text can be written or spoken. It doesn't matter which kind of modality, but what is important for you to understand, discourse has to do with text. And in this course, we are interested in various types of text, and here we will focus on written text. So we start looking at letter writing. I know many of you these days do not write letters, but whether we like it or not, we've got to write official letters when we're looking for jobs, when we want to engage in various businesses. So formal letters we still write, and even informal letters we write to our siblings in overseas, we write to our parents in village, and so forth. So we still need to understand the important features that we need to take into account when writing letters. And we should also be informed that it's very important that we learn on how to write letters, whether it's informal letters or formal letters. And we need to abide to principles that are there that guide us in writing letters. So a good letter should consist of an appropriate greeting. Okay, depending whether it's formal or informal letter, but there should be an appropriate greeting. There should be an introduction, clearly stating the reason why you're writing that particular letter. And also there should be a main body, and which the subject is developed, and it must have paragraphs developed into ideas developed into different paragraphs. Also, a good letter must have a conclusion. You must sum up your main idea or purpose of writing that particular letter. So, finally, you should be able to have a closing phrase, showing clearly that now that is you are at the end of the letter. Now, as a university student, this aspect is very important, and we will need to do some more practice and exercises as far as writing letters, especially when you're preparing. If you do not have a job, or you're searching for a job, or if you have one, but seeing if you can find somewhere where you can have much more greener pasture. So this is very important, and it's also important in daily use. You can come across with people who might request you to write letters for you, so you should be in position to produce a well-written letter, because you've got necessary skills that are important for you to write the letter. So with discourse, we've got another text, curriculum vitae. It's also a text that we compose, we make ourselves. What is a curriculum vitae? In short term, it is a CV. What is a CV. Now, as I said, that if you are now a university student, you will be required to take these things very seriously because they will be part and parcel of your life. And actually, at the end of this lecture, you should be able to produce your own curriculum vitae, whether you are requesting for a job or not, because as learned brothers and sisters, we should every time have our own information written down so that when they are required, we are able to produce them. So you do not have to wait when you are searching for a job, or when you want to move from one job to another, or when your boss requests your CV. You need to have your CV updated each and every year. Anything that is increased should be added there. That is the CV. We do not expect you to write the CV when it is requested, because you are likely to come up with the document that's not a true reflection of your life history. So a CV means course of life. It is a Latin word. Curriculum vitae is a Latin word which means course of life. It contains a high level of details about your achievement, a great deal more than just a career biography. So you tell in briefly what have you achieved since throughout your educational career, what contribution did you do or have you made so far throughout your career development or professional development. The document tend to be organized chronologically, and it should make it easier to get an overview of an individual fully working career. So it only captures issues that are very much attached to your career development and your professional development. So you will have to tell the story since you started at school, and then which means you will give your educational background, you will give your area of interest, but it must contain your name, your contact. You know, some of the CV, you find people, they prepare the CVs, they not write even their name, they write their name at the end. That's not the proper way of writing the CV. But also it's always good to make your CV presentable. It's good to put your picture on there so that they can clearly see who is this person presented in this particular document. So it's also important to tell your history about employment and experience. If there is scholarly or professional development, you highlight them in your curriculum vitae so that when you are seeking for a job or you want to be engaged in any kind of business partnership, it's easier to know about you without even seeing it. So your CV can tell a lot about your career development and your professional development without even interviewing you. We can call you in for the interview just to clarify of what we have seen or read in your curriculum vitae. So it's a very important document, and as I said that at the end of this lecture, then you should be able to sit down and try to practice and see if you can produce a good document. And for those that will be able to see their documents, we can work through their document, and that will make sure that each and every one produce a very useful curriculum vitae so that they can be used in future. Now moving to another text, which is essay writing. An essay is also a discourse. It has its own unique way of writing it. We don't just write because we are asked to write an essay. So an essay is a prose which is created by putting together ideas and a linguistic expression to create a larger composite. So as I said, it's not just like taking a pen and a piece of paper and start writing because I'm asked to write an essay. It is a prose, it's a text that is systematically written, and it has the principles in place that you need to abide to be able to produce a very good essay. And we have categories of essays. That are 3 of them: the description, which is descriptive essay, narration, which is a narrative essay, and exposition. And so they all use the same rules of writing, but they have a very unique way of writing it. The way you write a descriptive essay is different from the way you write a narrative essay. So these are the things that you need to take into account. And so for you to be able to successfully be able to write an essay, because you will be requested to write as many essays as you can across your courses, you need to take 5 steps into account. The first step is the stage of preparation. Before you can begin writing your essay, you need to make a thorough preparation of what you want to write about, which means you need to have the title in place. You need to have all facilities that you want to use in place. If you want to type down your essay, you know that you will use your laptop or your cell phone or your tablet to do the research about your essay. You need to make clear preparation and to jot down the important issues that you want to address through your essay writing. But also the search for subject matter. You need to do a little bit of research if you've given that particular title or working title for some time. You need to take some time and make sure that you will be able to write down the subject matter that is that you are confident about, and at least you've got some kind of an idea of what you should be writing about. When you get all the materials collected, you should be able to organize them. Having the materials is one step, but organizing them is another very important. You can have very relevant papers, journals, materials, but if you don't know how to organize them, you don't know which paragraph must come first, which paragraph must be closing, which paragraph must be introductory paragraph, then you will end up having a very crisis. It will tend to be a text full of errors, and which may lead you to having poor marks because you did not take time to organize your document. So it requires a lot of time to organize your document in acceptable principles, so that when you give the documents to someone else to read, it can be understood. But also we've got the stage of writing the draft, and then you've got the final stage for the revision. Writing the draft is when you put together what you've collected, and then you produce the draft. It is called the draft because you can produce as many drafts as you can until you've got the final document. Do not worry about writing too much. Do not worry about resubmission and resubmission. It's part of academic life. So you can have as many drafts, even 10 copies of the same document. And the more drafts you produce, the better document it becomes, and acceptable the document becomes, and it can help you to earn some good marks. So these are the important stages also that you need to take into account. That when you're writing an essay, and I know for sure that you'll be getting to many essay writing. So do not write essays like you were writing in secondary school, and then you try to write it in the same approach at university. You will end up earning lower. So you need to make a lot of effort, especially in courses that you require a lot of writing, like history and the social sciences, where it requires you a lot of explanation. So you need to take note of that. And then we've got report writing. As I said, we are trying to explore different kinds of text. The report is also a discourse. It is an orderly and objective communication of factual information which serves an institutional purposes. Okay, so it's a report. A report is a reflection of the progress of a particular performance of assignment that might be given up at a particular institution, okay, or project. What is the purpose of writing a report? Why do we write a report? institution. For example, a school is an institution, a university is an institution, bank. Why do we have to have reports? And these reports can be daily reports, can be weekly reports, monthly reports, quarterly reports. It depends on the on the use of those reports in a particular institution, or on the practice and custom of that particular institution as far as the reporting is concerned. So a report, we write a report because we record information. It's a proper way of recording information, and for an institution it's very, very vital, because we change from one institution to another, but also we change our position from one position to another. So if we do not have reports in place and systematically organized, we will lose the mission and vision of the institution. And that's why we've got to have documented reports, so that we can be able, even for new recruitment and signed people, can find the ground to establish or where to start and what to do from the existing reports. But also, report is meant, we write reports in order to solve problems, different problems. It's very easy to realize the persisting problem in the institution when you write a report, rather than having oral or verbal reflection. So for reports, it becomes much more strong, and because they are meant to help in resolving some of the issues that seem to be pertinent in the institution. But also it allows the institution to function properly. A report gives a clear indication of where you're heading to as far as the operation of the institution is concerned. So that's why we need and we must write reports, whether we like it or not. It's very important, because it gives a clear indication of the existence and sustainability of a particular institution. So in a report, we've got some essential elements that we need to take into account in a report, like presentation of the problem and presentation of the finding. We don't write things that are necessary in a report because it's just a report. Okay? We write things that we know that are very, very important for the development of the institution, and we present what happened, what we're heading to, and we present the findings of the issues that are important in the survival of the institution. So we've got different approaches in writing reports. We've got indirect approach and direct approach. Depend on the nature of the report, when required, and for what purposes, then you can adopt any of the reports. Okay, so quickly, the fact that we've discussed a lot about text, and this text you cannot just come up and produce a particular text without having what is known as cohesive devices, tools that will help you to make a meaningful text. It's just very easy. I can ask you, please write for me 5 sentences. But if you do not have a better understanding of these cohesive ties or devices, the instruments that are important in linking up the sentence in order to create the meaning, you won't be able to create the meaningful text. So it's important that we understand that some of the issues that we've discussed, you might have noted that you have been encountered across your school life, but sometimes you do not identify how useful they are in order to help us create a meaningful text, but also we are able to be understood by other people. Now, punctuation is used in relation to grammatical requirements and the writer's intention. Okay, and that's why we call them the cohesive ties or the cohesive devices of cohesive tools. Okay, they help us to create a grammatical relation within the text, within the sentences. Okay, it is the system of symbols that help the writer to express oneself effectively. So it can indicate to the speaker, to the reader of your text, that you put the full stop, the commas, the quotation mark, because they all have meaning. They have grammatical meaning, assisting the reader to understand the structural relationship within the sentence and the intention of the sentence. So punctuation marks can link or can separate or can enclose or indicate in omissions or terminate or classify items in sentences. So that's the functions of punctuation marks. So we only use punctuation to do such kind of activity. We've got varieties of punctuation marks. We've got what we call a period. A period is the full stop. Is the full stop. Is the period. We use the full stop at the end of sentences. Now we've got types of sentences. We've got the statement, which we call the creative sentence. Okay? I like watching Western film. Full stop. It's a statement. You're making a statement in a creative sentence. But we also have an interrogative sentence, which might be a command or demand. For example, please send me the report. Please send me the report. It is a command sentence, but it has the full stop at the end. The host asked us what we wanted to eat. Okay, that is indirect question, but we call it an interrogative sentence. Interrogating, though the question itself is indirect. So full stop can be used in many ways, and some of the uses that we highlighted there. So your assignment is to actually engage yourself in various texts and be able to identify these different types of sentences and be able to apply these different punctuation marks. We've got another punctuation mark, which is the comma. Which is the comma. It is also used to enclose, separate, or show omission to a clause. Okay? A comma can add clarity and emphasize. It puts emphasis to written text. So we've got varieties of sentences and different clauses, which commas can be used there to indicate the relationship of those words in a particular sentences, either by separating or by showing omissions or to a clause. And then we have the semicolon, also used to link independent clauses or other sentence elements of equal grammatical rank or status. They also indicate greater pause, between a clause than a comma would, but not so great pause as a period would, so that the semicolon. Also, furthermore, you've got the question mark. The question mark is normally used at the end of the sentence. However, we normally misuse the question mark, like Jose wanted to know who wrote the book. Okay? Jose wanted to know who wrote the book. And then we've got Jose wanted to know who wrote the book. Jose wanted to know who wrote the book. Jose wanted to know who wrote the book. Okay? So we need to be careful when we're using these punctuation marks, sometimes we tend to misuse them because of different factors, including having English language is a foreign language to many of us, and then we tend to put question marks where we're not supposed to put punctuation, or we tend to put punctuation where we're not supposed to put punctuation marks. So your assignment basically is to do the discourse analysis, which means when I say discourse analysis, is to try and get variety of text and be able to identify these different features within that particular text, identify sentences, identify full stop and commas, where they put at the end, and the differences and the meaning that is communicated. Okay. So from the punctuation marks, let's move on note taking notes. Now, as a university student, you will be required to take a lot of notes across your program, across the program in different courses, and it's very, very important that you really get skills, necessary skills for taking notes. Why not taking? Because it helps increase your comprehension and retention of your materials. Okay, but also it helps you to be able to listen critically and carefully of what is being communicated. So when someone is talking while you write, it helps you to keep focused instead of being engaged with another activity. So that's very, very important. And for you, because you are a distance learner, you will be required when you want to access Moodle courses on Moodle, you must be prepared, have your notepad, have your exercise book ready to take notes of anything that you will be reading through the Moodle e-learning platform. But also not necessarily the material that we have in our Moodle teaching and learning platform, but we can also access so many materials outside that particular platform through different websites. You're going to learn later on how you can access so long as you are connected to the internet. And also you can access physical library. We have the physical library, and we mean libraries in the regional centers, but also the main library at the headquarters of our university. But also you are also privileged to access any library of the nearby institution in the country, and so do not close yourself in a particular in a defined space, rather expose yourself into knowledge so that you are able to explore and be able to get the intended knowledge as a university student. So note taking is the practice of recording information captured from a science source such as the oral discussion, the seminars. So remember, you will have a group discussion, which is very, very important. Almost 80% of your time, we expect that you meet your members in a group, create group. In every subject of yours, get some students, about 5, 6 students, and get some time during the weeks, weekends, get some few hours to discuss about a particular area that is seemed to be challenging to you. Do not hide yourself and keep yourself locked somewhere, reading alone, while you could be joining together with your colleague and your fellow student. But also, notes of a meeting are usually called minutes. So there is a difference between the note-taking of your lecture, seminars, and meeting and speech and discussion and so forth. It's different from the minutes that we take from the meeting, because it has its own way of writing and its organization is quite different from the notes that you take from your lectures. Note taking in class depends on ears and hands and brain, so you must be smart, you must be fit, so that you are able to get some key points that you will be able to take notes. So let's see quickly. We have you will notice that in your notes you have to read through and be able to get some key points on some techniques in note taking. Okay, what do you need to have in order to be able to take notes effectively? Do not write down everything that is said. For example, in this lecture, you don't have to write everything that I've raised, because some of the stuff, many of the stuff, you'll find them in your handouts, and you will find them made and massive from the Google and from the other sources in the internet. So do not bother to write everything. What is important, write what is what you understood, and the key point that is necessary for you and relevant for that particular aspect that is covered in the course. Write notes in point form with a separate subheading. With not taking, you must be very brief. You don't have to write essay while you're taking. When you write a larger text, then that should not be called a note taking. That is something different. Develop your own shorthand. Do not depend on your colleague. Do not depend on your colleague to borrow notes. So that you copy your colleague's notes. That is very dangerous. It might lead you to either confusion, but also you will end up being frustrated, because it's very hard if you understand someone's shorthand without that person being there explaining what was that meant for him. Jot down any references given in class to read later. Underline key phrases in red or with highlighter pen. It is always advisable to date and number each sheet of A4 as you use it, in case you use your exercise. Make sure that you document your notes very, very carefully, so that you are able to refer to those notes later on, and they help you to do a very good summary as you prepare yourself, for example, exams. Yeah, so taking notes is actually very, very important. It triggers your the basic lecturing process and help to remember information. So if you can look at the lecture and listen and be able to go back to your lecture notes, to your handout, and you can find that it becomes much more interesting, and you find a better way of taking in the information and be able to remember the information. It helps to concentrate in class, and for those disruptive students in class, taking notes will be a good assignment for them. Instead of making noise and chatting with the friends or cell phone whatsoever in WhatsApp and tweeting, then they can end up being occupied by note taking in class. So note taking, it helps in listening and writing skills. So you'll find that the more you do it, the more you develop the listening and writing skills, and every day you come up with a new way, a new style of writing in shorthand, and that helps you to make a good summary, or as you prepare yourself for exam, or as you prepare yourself for a particular presentation or any kind of assignment that requires you to produce any of materials. Otherwise, thank you guys for listening, and the next lectures will focus on academic writing. We've already have all these skills on text and discourse analysis, and now we'll see in practice the academic writing, because when you speak about university, we are not just talking about mere writing, we are talking about the academic writing and its ethics in writing at university. Thank you very much.